I think it was important that Des started for the historical thing. I remember at May Day one day, I was walking along the meadows and we'd been putting everything away after the march and after the speeches and whatever, and this young couple, young students come across and said, "What is that?" And I said, "Oh, it's May Day." "May Day? What the hell's that?" I said, "Have you got a vote?" And they said, "Aye." I said, "That's what May Day is about. May Day gave you the vote." You see, things didn't just appear. It didn't just come down from somewhere on a far. That somehow the society we've got. And this is, I think, what we've got to kind of generate a new kind of education and understanding that everything comes from struggle. I was at an unfortunate situation, but it was a great day in the sense I was at George Blakey's funeral yesterday. A fighter, a docker, right, and somebody that was locally involved in a whole raft of things. And I'm reminded that the organisation that I'm speaking on behalf, North Edinburgh Fights Back, comes out a huge project. I remember the day that me and Anna and Roberta went up to the Broughton School and we were speaking about the history of this area. We were saying to the kids there, do you know how Pilton came about? Because we were looking at maps. And you know what was in the map? A poorhouse. Do you know how Fetties is all lined with 8 trees? You know why? Because they feared that from the poorhouse and the people that were starting to come to Pilton, that disease would travel by air and affect the people in Fetties. See, why did the trees appear? Because somebody made a bloody decision that we couldn't affect the rich. That everything was sitting in a community centre. How did that arrive? Did somebody, some rich person say, "Oh, we'll give them a community centre. They need one. Look at them. Look at Anna, she's desperate, right, for somewhere to go off an evening, right, and pester people to come to community centres and getting involved." How did that arrive? And so, when it says, never give up, this is the history of your area. This is the pictures of people who did things and moved and weren't prepared to accept passivity. That things were different. And so when we talk about doing things, we didn't just talk about small things. It's great that we've got community gardens and we've got this and we've got that. But actually the problem is huge. Anybody who thinks, and there are people here for the food bank, and I'm not decrying them, and I'm not challenging them, because what they do is what they can do. But I have to tell you, when somebody comes to a meeting I was at and tells me, use the word dependency, and then talks about what the food bank was doing, and then tells us how many people are poor, how many people are hungry, every bloody day, and they can tell me and other people at the meeting that the food bank distributes 3 times a bloody year, 3 days' food, and I say sticking plaster on a broken leg. So when we're talking about fight back, we talk about a community that needs to start rising up, start to get busy again. We've got people who campaigned, the Bettys and Agneses and other people that did tremendous work. But we need a new generation, or young people, or middle-aged people, or people who start to argue back and they come together. And that's what the fight back is all about. In North Edinburgh, I'll tell you what it was. There was 90 people came to a wee film called Never Give Up. Have a look at it. Have a look at that film, right? Have a look at the booklet and start to understand where we've come from. How many people fought back? How many people created things? The Pilton Centre, the Prentice Centre, the youth projects. They came because people sat and called rooms on a bloody Tuesday night when Coronation Street was on and said, we want to do something. And that's the spirit that we need to get back. And that's why people, when they come to North Edinburgh, they're fascinated. We think we've got nothing. People from somewhere where there is nothing come here in North Edinburgh and they look and they think, Jesus, yous are busy. What's that, a corner garden? Who created that? People. Who's doing that? What about that demonstration doing at the gas board about fuel poverty? What about that poverty conference that Owen Jones spoke about? Sorry for spitting, Karen, I did say I went there. Right? Actually, the poverty conference, which created the poverty charter, was endorsed by the council, but was only endorsed. when you look down it, it's reasonable. It's no demanding. It's, to be honest, it's no radical. It's no the Mexican rebellion or whatever. It's just basic stuff. And we demand the council does it. See, I'm not for letting them off the hook. And actually, to his credit, Mike and I went up and we spoke at a delegation about the bedroom tax. And now the council is going to go back to 4,000 people and go through their forms again. And if they only got partial awards, they're going to get full awards. The stupidity of the council is beyond belief. Here is a council that's been given money by the Scottish Government, even being given money by the Westminster Government. And you know what happened? They started saying, you can't get money, you can't get money, you can't even get money. And then Cammy Day comes on the telly and tells us how many rent arrears we've got. Rent arrears will get. See, when Santa comes, accept the goods. If the council sees £3.3 million coming for the Scottish Government because we won the 20 million, the people who demonstrated, who harassed and challenged the SNP and Labour and whatever, right, to give that money was then to be distributed so that Mike and everybody's rent arrears. So what happens? The council starts talking about 33% of people. Just take the bloody money. Are we with Tiny Tim here? You know what I mean? Somehow there's a big full cupboard of Christmas presents, and what's going to happen is Tiny Tim only gets one wee box and the rest are kept it behind. What happened there? It's simple. Take the money, process it, and surprisingly enough, your rent arrears go down. The council's coffers are full of Scottish Government money and the bloody Westminster money. So find the reason why Mike and others, I'm picking on you, Mike, but I know that you're actually that's the stupidity of that. Just take the money for Santa and get the rent arrears down. And the other thing that we're now having to argue in the bedroom tax is actually people have been forced. Alice and other people have been forced to pay partial rents. Find the money for somewhere. Well, if Alice is successful with a full discretionary housing payment, then she should get the money. She should get some of that money back because she's already paid it. You know what the council will say? Alice, I'm going to put it in a wee pool for you. And see, when you get into rent arrears later, we'll just go, it's bloody the electricity board again. Cut your own cell off. Right? So there's loads of things to fight for and their plans are afoot. We as a community need to come together. On the 14th of November, the Pilton Central Association, who's now starting to move again, right, and be successful, we're going to open up the office, we're going to fight for a kitchen for the whole of the area, we're going to produce food. I've been up to the mosque, and the mosque kitchen is prepared to give 300 meals on 2 days a week if we can distribute it to people. The scale that we require is massive, and therefore we've called together all the community centres, all the organisations, political, religious, the Red Cross have been to, and whatever, to come down and not talk about charity, but talk about solidarity, to talk about a different initiative. And if we had that huge kitchen built here, then we could use the community centres as a distribution centre. Instead of it being a venue, it could be the heart of the community. That's what we fought for. That's what we fought for. For the community centres, not to be Zumba, and it's great. You can look at me, I can see that you think I go to Zumba, right? Aye, right? We've got to get people who didn't walk into community centres, right? And we want to create look across, Drylaw, the Millennium Centre, the Prentice Centre, the West Pilton Centre, the wee groups, this Royston and Wardyburn. We want them to shake themselves up a little bit. And I understand how people who are running community centre management committees, me and other people are full of beans and get off your arse and all the rest in the gentlest way that we can, right, whatever. But we want that to happen. For this winter, we need a response. Because if I tell you the figures that's hiding behind doors all over this place, we need breakfast clubs, we need lunch, we need dinners, We need people to be looking at the community centres as areas of education, of dreams, of vision. So that when I went to Blakey's, George was somebody who saw beyond just being somebody in the community. He loved culture. He loved art. That's why North Edinburgh people lend their voices to the choir. Right? How's that? The choir. How can a choir help people out of poverty? Well, they can sing. Right? They can raise people with the arts centres, taking young people for this community and training them and educating them about art and music and all the rest. We're not just about bread, but we're bloody about roses too. That's what we want, bread and roses. And I'll shut up.